A few months ago, I made a video all about group rides and how they make you faster and stronger on the bike. And while most of it was well received, a few of you seemed to disagree with the central premise. And I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding. You see, even though I now have friends, sorry to humble brag, I still ride most of the time alone. In fact, today I'm all alone.
There are a lot of reasons to ride alone. My coach would probably say the biggest advantage to riding alone is better zone 2 training because, well, we'll get into that later, but I don't think that's the biggest advantage.
The biggest benefit is, of course, the fact that you can stop for coffee and pastries as many times as you want. In fact, I'm 12 minutes into my ride, and I'm already doing my first coffee stop.
Despite current appearances, I am trying to focus on my health this year. And that's why this video is sponsored by AG1. AG1 is a foundational nutritional supplement. So just like Zone 2 training or base training, hey bud. Just like Zone 2 training or base training provides the foundation that you need to build your fitness, AG1 provides a solid base of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics to support a healthy lifestyle. Tastes pretty good too. I really thought it would taste like kale or something, but it doesn't. It tastes really good. I've been drinking AG1 for a while now. I even brought it with me to Mexico City over the holidays because I was on vacation and I didn't want to get sick. I was doing everything I could to avoid that because I was already taking 2 weeks off the bike. And if I was sick when I came home and I would have to not be on the bike again, I don't even want to think about it. AG1 has vitamin C, zinc, mushrooms, a bunch of stuff to support a healthy immune system. Click the link below and you can save $20 by signing up for a subscription, which comes with a risk-free 90-day money-back guarantee. And you'll even get a year's supply of vitamin D as a bonus.
Solo rides are also a good time to catch up on podcasts or listen to a new album that comes out. But a lot of times, I actually like riding without any music, without any podcasts or audiobooks, and just let my thoughts eat me alive. You know, there's like a meditative state you can get when you're not thinking about anything besides pedaling for a couple hours. For some people, that sounds absolutely horrible, but for whatever reason, I really enjoy it. Now, all these benefits are good, but do they make you faster? Well, Zone 2 training is one of the best things you can do for your overall fitness. And while Zone 2 training is not going to lift your top end necessarily, it is going to build your base. And the bigger your base, the more you can build on top of it.
Now, if you're not familiar with Zone 2 training or you haven't heard about it, there are a ton of great resources by people way more qualified than I am to explain it to you. So after this video, I recommend you go check them out. The basic premise of Zone 2 training is ride slower to get faster, which sounds really weird. But basically, if you're riding for a long period of time at a slower, consistent pace, the kind of pace where you can have a conversation, maybe that conversation is not exactly smooth, you're kind of breathing a little hard, but a conversational pace. If you do that 3 times a week or 4 times a week, rather than trying to smash every single ride, you're gonna get stronger over time because you're building up your aerobic base.
It's a lot easier to stay at an easy pace when you're riding by yourself. I don't know what it is about group rides, but they always seem to end up as an all-out effort, at least the rides that I'm on. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, if you're trying to do a Zone 2 ride, or just like a base endurance ride, that's really hard to do on a group ride. But by yourself, it's easy to maintain constant pressure on the bike. Even when the terrain is undulating, you set the tempo. I'm choosing how hard I ride right now. Nobody else. Well, maybe the hills a little bit. There are some hills where it's too steep to maintain pressure going downhill. So, you know, when you're doing a Zone 2 ride, you should probably pick as flat of a course as you can.
From what I understand, again, very layman's terms, it improves your body's efficiency, which is very helpful on long rides, obviously, but even on short rides. Because if your body's more efficient at using its fuel, when you're going slower in a group ride, let's say, you're not using as much fuel for those slower efforts. And then when the rider in front of you suddenly smashes it, you've still got energy in store to keep up with them. Here's what Dr. Inigo San Milan, the coach of Tadej Pogacar, two-time Tour de France winner, says about Zone 2 training.
I saw the world champion in the cycling who's 81, in the category of 80 to 85. Believe me, there's a category of that. And this is what struck me. He was a smoker, hypertensive, and he started cycling because he needed to change his lifestyle in his 40s. Because that's the same question, like, whoa, you must have been doing this all your life. I'm like, no, I started riding my bike when I was in my 40s. I was a smoker, I was heavy, I was hypertensive. Like, what? So it's incredible that 40 years later, he's in a better health.
There were no pastries left, so not worth the stop.
I've been doing Zone 2 training for about 2 years now. And in that time, not only has my speed increased and my power output as a cyclist increased, but my resting heart rate has dropped and a lot of my vitals have improved. Now, is that just because of Zone 2? Dr. Inigo San Milan probably would say yes, it is. Or maybe he'd be more reasonable and say it's a combination of everything. But Zone 2 training definitely has been a big piece of the overall pie of exercise that I do for my health. I gotta work on these analogies.
During this off season, I'm having a bunch of unstructured rides. And while I could do those in a group, I'm really enjoying doing them by myself for a couple reasons. One, it lets me explore parts of my neighborhood that I haven't really explored before. Like where we are right now. This is behind my grocery store. Who knew? It is almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm lucky enough working for myself and working from home that I can ride my bike whenever I want. That's not always very easy when you're riding with friends or with a group. You have to coordinate everything. You have to figure out everybody's schedule. You send out a million messages on the group chat. Some people say yes and then they bail. It's just a whole mess. But when you're riding by yourself, none of those problems. You just decide to go when you want to go. I'm gonna go. You like that transition?
Like I mentioned in the ad break, consistent Zone 2 training builds a solid foundation that you can build the rest of your fitness on. You could try to do a Zone 2 ride on a group ride with your friends, but there's a couple of problems with that. Number one, what if you're at different fitness levels? Number two, you know it's not gonna stay at a conversational pace. Number three is not necessary, because those two reasons are enough, and I don't have a third reason. Maybe you and your friends actually have an incredible amount of self-discipline, and so this whole point is moot because you can stay in Zone 2 together because you're better than me. But there are also other reasons to ride alone.
You get to have unlimited coffee stops, set your own pace. You get to choose the route. You get to meditate or listen to an audiobook or your favorite music or a podcast. Like, why would you even ride with other people? Honestly.
New year, very exciting. I'm sure you've noticed a few new things in this video, but we're gonna talk about them next time. So stay tuned. See ya. I was kneeling on yoga blocks the whole time because this is how tall I am. I wanted to get the light. And if I sit, yoga blocks.